The state of Texas has now placed restrictions on the purchase of and waiting periods for school library books. You thought I was going to say something else. Actually, no, you didn't, because I said Texas, and nobody ever thinks that Texas is going to pass any regulations about their, but restrictions on school library books just went into effect on September 1st to protect the children. So let's talk about Senate Bill 13 in Texas and what that means for parents, kids, for freedom. I am an educator in the state of Texas. I have been in education for 12 years. I have a master's degree in English, a master's degree in educational administration. I've taught across public, private, and online classrooms. Online independent teaching is what I currently do. What Senate Bill 13 does is basically says that school librarians are not smart enough to do their job. So first thing, parental access and restriction. Parents gain access to their child's library activity records, including titles, authors, genres, and return dates via the school's learning management system or portal. Can submit a list of materials their child is not permitted to check out or use outside the library. The student may not access those materials. Okay, so this is framed as parent choice, parental freedom. But what this means is that if a parent says, I do not want my child to read a book where the main character is anybody but white, and the parent were to say, I do not want my child to read a book about characters who are immigrants. Don't think for a second that there are not parents in Texas who would do that. The school librarian has to stop that kid from checking out books about immigrants. And immigrants is just one example. Is though the part that really affects how school librarians can do their jobs. Every proposed library acquisition, including donated items. So like if I, as a parent, I have 4 kids in public school, donated items to my child's school library or to my child's teacher in their classroom library. Every proposed library acquisition, including donated items, must be publicly posted for at least 30 days before the school board votes to approve or reject them in an open meeting. Then, districts may establish SLACs to advise on library materials. So that means that it is not the librarian being the expert, parent volunteers. By the way, though, if you are a blue dot in Texas and you have children in public schools, get on those advisory boards, because it does not need to just be the Moms of Liberty cult on those boards. We are not letting Moms of Liberty hijack our kids' access to reading materials because they are afraid that their kid might read a book and learn something. Everyone to pay close attention to this wording. This is very deliberate wording, and I'll explain how. So the councils, those parent councils, that decide on the library materials, not the expert, the school librarian, but the parent councils. These councils of at least 5 members must recommend policies, acquisitions, and material removals consistent with local community values and state standards. Local community values. That's it. That's the loophole. Okay. That's what was deliberately put in there so that the parents and community members who don't like whatever book, not just for their child, but for any child, you don't have to have facts or even have read the book to dispute it. All they have to do is point to it violates our local community culture. This wording ensures that community members or parents, when they dispute a book, any book, they do not have to have facts or logic or even to have had read the book. All they have to do is say that it violates our local community values. And if those local community values mean that they don't want their kids to read a book about an immigrant because it highlights the immigrant experience and it is indoctrinating our kids, and don't think that doesn't happen, okay? It is not just LGBTQ books, and I don't mean just, I mean that is bad enough, but it's not only, okay, LGBTQ representation that they would eliminate if they could. People that make it their mission to remove books from school libraries, they also don't like strong female characters, okay? They don't like characters who are not white. They do not like characters that give empathy to the refugee experience, which is what a lot of middle grade and young adult literature focuses on, because we have children in our Texas public schools who are immigrants and refugees. Long story long, that's Senate Bill 13 in a nutshell. The loudest and most radically conservative members of your community, which do not represent the majority, by the way, in any community, okay? Don't let them gaslight you. Now they get to do their loud thing and decide what books your kid has access to in the public library or in the school library, which is a form of a public library because it is the school, the public school that you pay taxes to. Now they get to decide what your kid can and cannot have access to. And don't give me that, well, if you want your kid to read it, then just go buy the book for them. No, that is not the point. The point is that we all pay taxes to use the public school and the resources provided by the public school. So here is my call to action. Pay attention to what is going on in your child's school district and whether or not books are being challenged, and talk to your child's school, or even if you don't have kids, if you are a community member in a place where there is a public school nearby, because you are a community member, ask how you can be involved on the school library advisory council. Because I'll tell you who is getting on these parent boards. Heritage Foundation moms, Moms of Liberty moms. I don't know, are those the same group? Are they two different groups? I can't keep the cult straight. Do not let them be the loudest voices in the community. Not the majority in any community. They are radicals, okay? Normal people support their kids' education. Normal people talk with their kids when they are reading a book, discuss it with them, and maybe even read it with them. Ideas with their kids, because that's called parenting. Parenting is not, I'm so scared that you will learn something that I didn't specifically teach you. That is brainwashing. That is indoctrination. Spent years and still are blaming liberals and colleges for indoctrinating their kids. Every accusation is a confession. If you value your kids' access to reading material, then get on those boards, because this is the law now, but the law gets to work both ways.